Good morning, good morning. Let's try this way today. Get the light on my face. So, to begin, I'd like you to just picture yourself maybe about 2 years ago, before all our grand adventure. And where were you at? What were you doing? How did you feel? What emotions were present? Where were you kind of feeling locked or lost? And I want you to just look at those and now look at yourself now and see some changes, because those changes are the inner work that we've done. This period of the last 2 years is basically, how to describe it? It's basically tested us. It's forced us inward. It's closed us off. It's fed us fear. It's fed us confusion, cognitive dissonance. It's a gift in ways that we're only gonna just start to be aware of. That gift is complex. It's confusing. It's scary what we've been through in a lot of ways, but it's polished and squeezed and tempered us into moving through energies and trapped emotions and other things so that we could open and start to expand. These things, if you look back at them, a lot of them are awful, the underneathness of it or whatever, and starting to realize that there was a different agenda underneath them, and taking away our freedoms and locking us away and all these things has given us an opportunity to see the full spectrum and to see how far away from freedom we were and how kind of we've given our power away, and we're seeing it across the board. Like diamonds, beautiful. That's exactly where I was heading, Aurora. We've turned into diamonds. And what I'm just asking people to do in this live is to start to make that comparison of self. Yes, it was ugly and awful, and it was an event that still is boggling our minds, but it created such a crushing depth and experience, and it took the collective to new levels, and we're now getting to the point where this big awakening is starting to happen, and people are starting to say, holy crap, I was being crushed by all this, and look at all these things that are happening. I wasn't aware of them, and now you're having awareness. You're starting to say, holy crap, there's something going on here, and you're asking for more. You're putting your head up and you're putting your hands up and starting to say, okay, I don't like this. And without these things, it couldn't have happened. So I'm asking, I guess you give some love to the experience, but I'm also asking you give this huge amount of love and respect to yourself, because what we've been through and the awareness that's being created and the trauma we've had to look at and the emotion, I'm sure a lot of you have cried yourself and been angry and all these things to really great depths, because we weren't just moving through it for ourselves, we were also moving through it for the collective. And I finally think the people that are kind of leading the way on all this are kind of stepping out of now servicing the collective, and we're starting to move back to creating our own reality. And without all these things that have happened, we couldn't have moved back to that place of sovereignty, of independence, of seeing what is and wanting better. And that's the key to our next steps, is in creating our new reality. We now have to step into our power. We have to acknowledge that we are a creator. We have to acknowledge that we participated, and we're going to have to reprogram a lot of our beliefs. But as we do that for ourselves, we become this example for others. And it's beautiful because, at least in my world, I'm creating a reality. I'm saying no to certain things and say, hey, that's not going to exist anymore. And this control cannot continue because I can't influence outside myself. I go into rallies and chasing people and doing all this kind of stuff is great. But if this is my reality, rather than giving my power away to some leader of something or whatever, I'm inside saying, no, this is ending. I live in Canada and we've got a Prime Minister Trudeau and he's a despot basically. And it's like, no more. I'm not going to give my power to a leader or somebody that calls himself a leader like that. I saw a beautiful post yesterday saying that he's lost his cabal status or something and he's going to fall soon. In my reality, I wouldn't let a leader like that ever exist anymore. Any leader that's going to be in my world is going to be filled with transparency, and everybody's going to see everything he does, and there would never be an opportunity to get payoffs and doing all this kind of stuff. Yes, beautiful, Aurora. I agree. So that's a next step that we can say. So in this polishing, etc., we now have this diamond, and I'd say we place it in a lighthouse. It's the reflector that now takes the energy and the love that's in our heart, and then it beams through this diamond, and instead of like a single beam, it's just like this refracted, like a crystal that sends the sparkles all over the room, all over the world. And our feet are firmly grounded in the planet and in Gaia and the energies of new. And as things break up and these old foundations start to burst, people are going to be looking for places where they can plant their feet so they can rebuild. And it's people like us that have done the inner work that are feeling confident, feeling safe, feeling grounded to people. They're going to come around us. They're going to want to sit on the grassy knolls around the lighthouse and talk to others and find out what's not in truth in their beliefs and what they've been programmed and what they've been taught their whole entire life in their societal conditioning. They're going to come, and then people like us that have kind of done this work ourselves over this last couple of years, they're going to be able to skip a bunch of steps. They're going to be able to move on. They're going to be able to transition with as little struggle as possible. And that's what our role has been, going through all these maybe awful experiences or losing jobs, losing families, divorces, sickness, illness. God knows there's a million different ways we've been tested. But we're going to stand there, and our new reality is going to be a building block for others. And we don't want to create a massive collective reality like before. We want to create independence in people. We want them to discern, look into what's in their heart, what their experience is, and they're going to make their own fractal of reality and something beautiful. And then they're going to become lighthouses too. They're going to go out in, once they feel confident, into their own personal communities, their families, and they're going to give that information. They're going to give that new perspective on reality that they have, and they're going to, it just becomes a tree of life. Like, think of it's like our lighthouse brings up 100 lighthouses and kiddie pool of tingles. Yes, with my hand on my heart, nodding the bobblehead and everything you're bringing through. Absolutely. This is the awakening. And I just love that you're sitting in a kiddie pool of tingles. It just brings up this beautiful picture, because that's the innocence of what we're doing. We are finally breaking through all the shit and the control, and this is how things are and the shames and guilts and frustration and anger, and we're just being innocent and saying, I love it. It's simple. Life's simple, and there doesn't have to be any complexity. There doesn't have to be any chasing. There doesn't have to be any bills. There doesn't have to be any did I say chasing? I'm not sure, but that's the word. Because we're that tree of life. All of a sudden, these little bubbles pop off, each of the people that got confident sitting on the grassy knoll of our lighthouse, they're going to walk into the world with confidence, and they're going to shine a light, and what was dark before and what was shambless foundations of old, we're going to be like bulldozers. They're going to push that off to the side and off into the ocean, so there's no trace of the old except the stuff that's been purified, the stuff that was serving us, the stuff that we, through our polishing, have come to state is like a diamond foundation. Where do you want to build your new reality on? Is diamonds. You couldn't get stronger than rock. That's not going to break in an earthquake or whatever. So in our heart is that diamond. It's like this multifaceted crystal that's shining out, and people see it and they're like, holy crap, this is amazing. That I want people to also be aware that as we traverse through adversity, we create a vibration, and I call it a vibrational map. This vibration is part of us. So just by standing in line at the supermarket, or driving in traffic, or being that lighthouse, or being whatever, people will walk by us and they'll get in our auric field. And I'm seeing that our auric field is getting huge, like 15 kilometers or 8 miles or something like that. But they stand in that field and they start to change, or at least they have the choice to change. That vibration they can take or they cannot take. They can look at it with despair or attack it or whatever, or they can take it on and it becomes a seed that grows within them. But when the energy of something that we've experienced, because we built it into our vibration, happens to them, they'll have that knowledge, because we're all part of God. We're all part of the infinite. We're all part of the source. But that direct energetic interface of walking through a field or being nearby gives the option to share that. And that's why we had to have really intense experiences. We could only provide that vibration once we created it in ourselves. It's not something that just naturally shows up, because to clean up the human experience, the trauma, the bullshit that we've had to go through, was like the most intense experiment in all of reality. And some people didn't survive. They went through it and they couldn't figure it out. But if you've got to this point, your experiment has been successful. You have found a way, and there's a multifaceted, multi-million different ways that it's possible. And you're giving that gift to humanity now. And to see that in yourself, and to see that the adversity you went through, adversity, I keep saying adversity, shows that who you are and what your character is and what your light is. And now you're giving that gift to all. Some will choose not to take it. Others will grab onto it and thank God. And the gift we're giving to humanity is massive, because we took on some of the hardest jobs. We came here with the whole deck stacked against us. We came here with traumas and so much stuff we shouldn't have survived, but we did. And I want you to recognize that in yourself and start to honor that and realize how massive that is. Because if you're here and surviving and standing, you made it through. You are magic. You are beautiful. You are a part of God, part of the change, part of the awakening, part of everything. And it seems small because nobody's recognized it, but I'm recognizing it right here. You are freaking amazing. You've been doing your best. You've been doing this hard work all this time, but you are amazing. And I see it, and I thank God that there's more people. It's a lonesome job sometimes. You just feel like everything's been torn from you, but you are amazing. You did it. You got here, and I want you to recognize that in yourself, that you could have given up a million times, but you didn't. And you're here, and now you're ready, even though the time still hasn't quite happened, or the edge, we haven't jumped over the edge yet, but it's very soon, and all your work will become crystal clear, and all the people around you will be so grateful. They may attack you and do other things right now because they don't understand you, but when their foundation of their reality falls out, they're going to have a diamond foundation to build off of. Aurora says, we gained a toolbox through all the trials and errors. Now we need to use it to build our beautiful new world. Absolutely. that toolbox, that vibration I was talking about, those are all things that we can give to other people. We're going to have interactions with them. We're going to have community events and suppers and picnics and lives and whatever. I think there's going to be a lot more personal connection, touch in what's to come, because we spent so much time alone or separate or living through technology lately. But just recognize that. Just recognize that. See inside, close your eyes, and maybe a tear comes out of your eye because you made it. You're here. You're smiling. You got a toolbox right full, and you're ready to serve humanity. You're ready to serve yourself. And the reason I say yourself is once you realize you're part of God and you're part of the source and flow, you're not just doing it for you anymore. You're doing it for all of humanity. You're doing it for the possibility, the massiveness of what's to come. And that's off the charts amazing. So you did it. You got this far. Recognize it. Just smile at yourself and carry that diamond in your heart. Look inside your heart, dust it off. You're going to see that the diamond's there. It's just covered with a bunch of coal because that's where diamonds come from. And they got to be squished and squeezed, and you're here. Give yourself a big smile. Give yourself a big hug. Put your hand on your heart and say thank you to yourself because you made it. I love you all. Keep shining. Get your lighthouse on. Get your beaming smile. That's my light. So I love you all. Have a good day. Thank you, Aurora. Thank you, Roxanne. We'll talk more soon. Have a good day.